right. I'm going to say what most Celtics fans are going to say, that's stating the obvious here, but maybe it's not so obvious. But if Marcus Smart doesn't get hurt, Celtics win this game. Look, their whole body language, their whole demeanor changed after he left, right?
If Marcus
I just don't think the Celtics, like, I was surprised that they were in it in the end of it, you know? And, of course, a lot of that had to do, or all of that had to do with Tatum making those tough shots down the stretch.
Look, this game was basically – here's the thing. You know, I hate moral victories. Beating the 1-point loss to the Lakers, it was a garbage. Celtics played a garbage game. But you can't not feel good about, you know, a team that has Tatum and Brown when you see them play like this on this stage. You could surround them with friggin' anything, and you're going to be in every single game for the most part. And that's always a good feeling. But the Smart thing, again, they just don't have enough bodies right now. So let's go over it right now. Anybody in the chat sees anything, any info, by all means throw it. I'm all over Twitter right now. They say calf strain, but the fear here is Achilles. There's a lot of people on Twitter right now saying that's when
the way he was screaming.
When you roll your Achilles, you feel it shooting up your calf. To go down in a heap like that and in that much pain, that's a scary friggin' thing. And if it's
that's what worries me. Yeah,
he couldn't put any pressure on it. Yeah,
that's the season. That's the beginning of next season.
When he was screaming, I've never seen him hurt like that.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me or no?
Yeah, you're good, Jimmy. Just come on in. Man.
So
jump in.
Watching the replay a few times because I was, you know, obviously scarred by it. I just can't see how it could be that serious based on like.
That's how the Achilles goes.
I know, but like it was so.
But it's not acute.
I get it, John.
All the time.
It was even like less than what I know it to be.
But you see that all the time. Guys are standing there, and all of a sudden they just start hopping up and down. It just snaps and it rolls up on you, and that's it. It's usually because it's either strained or frayed or something. And
I'm hoping strained. I mean that's what I mean. Listen, when Pritchard went down, I was like, you know what, that looks bad, but it didn't look like ACL tear level bad. And like when Marcus Smart went down tonight, I was like, that looks bad, but
we don't know. We don't know.
I know we don't know. I know we don't know, but I am a doctor. No, I'm just kidding.
Obviously, don't say that, man. Bobby's crossed. He's got his fingers crossed. He's got everything going on over there, right? Bobby got all the good luck right now.
We don't know, but I watched the replay 30 times because I'm trying to like trick myself into thinking it's not that bad. So obviously, I'm not trying to break any news, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I will say this: that it didn't look crazy. It just didn't. So like if it is, then it is. But like I'm hanging on to the fact that it didn't look that bad.
You might be right. I think there's an equal chance you and John are right. In John's defense, though, I will say it brings back the memory of that KD initial injury, not the knockout one, but the first one that they call the calf sprain.
When he was cussing up a storm because he knew it right when it happened. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
And then they ended up bringing him back later, and then he actually did tear it down the line. So there's a connection there. It's one line that goes through your leg to the bottom. You're going to see some calf damage.
Bobby,
I'm thinking about the second time he heard it. When I think it was like the first quarter, it was early. He let himself out. I was like, I'm done. He knew right away.
Yeah, it always looks like that. That's what John said.
It reminded me of.
What were you saying, Jimmy?
Bobby, I'm asking you. I don't want to ask John. I want to ask you. What did John say about it? Because I don't want to ask John. I don't want to hear his thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts based on what he said. Because we all know John would have. Like when it came to Kemba Walker, John would have chosen a torn ACL. He already said this. He would have rather Kemba Walker have a torn ACL than have in his words, degenerative knee issue. So we already know John.
Which 100 out of 100 people should agree with. The ACL you recover from, degenerative by definition means.
But it might not be
that. Degenerative tonight.
But
it's literally the definition of the injury. Would you want one that heals or one that gets worse?
Yeah, but John, you diagnosed him with degenerative knee issue is my point. That's my point. Nobody else did but you. So I'm not going to let you diagnose Marcus Smart tonight. That's why I asked Bobby. Thank you.
I'm Bobby, not diagnosing Marcus Smart. I'm giving you my worst case fear.
Well, that's what you gave. That's what you gave about Kemba Walker. You're like, I'd rather take.
I asked $1,000. Degenerative is bad.
Nobody said degenerative but you, though.
All the doctors it's arthritis. It's an arthritic knee. It's bone on bone. That gets worse.
Fine.
It doesn't heal.
To be fair, Jimmy,
That's the medical consensus on what's going on.
You learn to live with it.
I didn't watch the injury.
John reads the medical report.
But I think at this point, John, based on what you've seen from Kemba Walker, I think you would rather not have him have an ACL tear, based on what you've seen since he came back. That's what I would say, anyways.
You'd rather have him on the team. We've always had this conversation, but yeah, you'd rather have him than not.
That's not the point. The point is, what are we talking? Because I bounced out because I got a random call. Maybe it was a girl. No big deal. I got a random call. What are we talking about here about Marcus Smart?
Marcus Smart, if you look at the replay,
I'm not saying a thing. I don't get an opinion.
You don't. You don't get the first opinion. You can counter, but I want to hear Bobby first.
Let's go around the horn, guys. Go for it.
I'm going to validate John because in the replay, when they showed the point of injury, Smart had his leg bent back in a way that put extra pressure on the back of his foot there and made me fear the Achilles, because usually you feel it in the calf, and usually that initial diagnosis is a calf strain, and then they're going to do some imaging on the Achilles and see what happened there. You might be right, Jimmy. I mean, that's the scare in these moments. You might not have a full tear. You might have just had some extra pressure that burst up his calf there and just ended up resulting in a Charlie horse. But it's always a scary sight when you come up lame and you can't walk. I
get it. I totally get it.
Calf diagnosis was the worst part of it because they always say that for the Achilles.
And he couldn't walk. He couldn't walk.
That's the worst part. And again, nobody here is saying we know he hurt his Achilles. We are simply saying the worst fear when someone goes down like that and they call it a calf injury is Achilles. If it's a calf strain, great. That's a few weeks and you're back. That's fine. Calf strain would be great. My first thought was, let's hope it's a cramp, because they straightened out what I saw when they straightened out his right leg. Yeah. And I was like, maybe he cramped up everywhere. And, and that was the thing. And they were just trying to straighten him out. And, but that's the fear. They say the calf and you're like, oh God, fingers crossed, don't be Achilles, because Achilles is over. And a calf strain, you come back from in a couple of weeks and you're fine. So,
you know what's certain though?
That's it.
We don't know any of this, but you know what's certain? If he did not leave the game, he would have taken that last shot where Semi Ojeleye was, all things being equal. And we would have had another Smart segment instead of this one.
John would have been the guy that we would have been. I hope he's healthy. I hope he's going to be okay.
So once again,
John would have came in hot. Would have been like, "That's the Marcus Smart shot I can't stand. That's it." Right.
Can't have nuanced conversations. I don't like Marcus Smart shooting 15 times a game. Marcus Smart is a valuable player to the Celtics. I hope he's not hurt. Can we live somewhere in the middle there, people? Jesus, is this so hard?
Not anymore, John. Not anymore, because we're not going to see him for a long time.
Shots a game doesn't mean I want him to blow out his Achilles.
Right. No. Obviously, John, like that's the difference between, the crazy right and the crazy left, is that you can't meet in the middle. Like, nobody wants anybody to die. We just want it to be the way we want it to be. Like, you don't want Marcus Smart to, disintegrate into existence. You just want him to take less shots. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I'm still holding out hope that it's not as bad as some people think it might be. And I'm not going to sit here tonight and speculate on health. John, you've got a couple health experts in your phone. Maybe you can.
I just texted one. I'm waiting.
Yeah, maybe you can shoot him a text. Maybe, hopefully, depending on what
his boy.
depending on what they respond, you can relay that information. If it's the worst case scenario, maybe.